Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I will continue our chapter 2. Okay, so 2.2 histogram, frequency, polygons and ogive. Okay, so previously in 2.1 we have go through the frequency distribution. So kita continue hari ni tiga jenis graph, okay, daripada frequency distribution yang kita dah bina. Kita akan buat histogram, frequency, polygon and ogive. Okay, so first thing that you have to know, the first part is histogram. So what is histogram? Histogram is a graph that displays the data by using contiguous vertical bar. Unless the frequency of a class is zero, of various height to represent the frequency of the classes. Okay, so kalau histogram ni memang kita tahulah bentuknya dalam bentuk bar. Dan bila kita nak bina histogram ni, kita akan guna untuk x-axis kita akan guna nilai lower boundary dengan upper boundary setiap kelas. Dan histogram juga dia punya bar tu rapat-rapat lah. Sebab kita tahu contohnya, okay, kelas pertama punya upper boundary tu adalah nilainya adalah sama dengan lower boundary untuk the second class. Okay, so kita tengok contoh. So the first example, okay, construct a histogram to represent data shown for the record height temperature for each of the 50 state. Okay, so we have the class boundary here and then the frequency. So kalau kita tengok kat sini, kita dah boleh teruslah construct kita punya histogram tersebut. Okay, kita tengok daripada sini, kita untuk membina histogram ada 3 step yang asas. Pertama sekali, okay, the first step is to draw and label the x and y axis. The x-axis is always the horizontal axis and the y-axis is the vertical one. So represent step 2, represent the frequency on the y-axis and the class boundary of the x-axis, and then using the frequency as the height, draw vertical bar for each class. So this is our histogram for that particular example. Okay, you can see this is the first class and second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh class. So the middle one, it shows the class boundary, and this is the frequency. Alright, so this is how we build the histogram using Microsoft Excel. So awak just masukkan saja table yang sama ke dalam Microsoft Excel, and then okay, bila kita dah masukkan kita punya value tu, okay, x-axis x value dengan y value kita, okay, and kita boleh pergi kepada insert, and then awak boleh nampak kat sini ada banyak pilihan charts yang kita ada. So boleh ambil, okay, histogram. Okay, ataupun okay, histogram, dan daripada situ nanti awak boleh sesuaikan dengan awak punya data tersebut. Ataupun kat recommended charts ni pun kita ada. Okay, boleh tengok satu persatu. So you can explore by using Microsoft Excel. Okay, so daripada histogram ni kita dapat lihat mana satu kelas yang mempunyai frekuensi paling tinggi, and then the lowest one. Okay, kita boleh display, okay, value untuk each classes. Okay, so next one, tadi histogram. Next is frequency polygon. So the frequency polygon is a graph that display the data by using line. connect points plotted for the frequency at the midpoints of the clusters. So the frequency are represented by the height of the points. Okay, persamaan histogram, okay, and the frequency polygon is both graph shows the frequency. But then the frequency polygon use midpoint for their x-axis. Okay, so we see the same example in the slide 3. So the first step that you have to do when you want to identify, okay, when you want to build the frequency polygon is you have to find the midpoints for each class. So ingat lagi tak macam mana nak cari midpoint? Kita dah cover benda tu in the previous class. So recall that midpoints are found by the adding the upper and lower boundaries and divide it by 2. So awak dapatlah dia punya midpoint. Okay. So perbezaannya ialah dia kat bahagian x-axis tersebutlah. So step 2 is draw the x-axis and y-axis. Label the x-axis with the midpoint of each class and then use a suitable scale on the y-axis for the frequency. So step 3, using the midpoint for the x value and the frequency as the y value, plot the points. And step 4, you have to connect adjacent point with the line segment. Draw a line back to the x-axis at the beginning and end of the graph. So at the same distance that the previous and next midpoint would be located. Okay, secara ringkasnya, okay, let me simplify this 4 step. Bila you buat, okay, bila nak buat frequency polygon, you have to add one class before and one class at the end. Okay, maksudnya ada dua kelas yang awak perlu tambah pada permulaan dan pada pengakhiran. Why? Sebab okay, frequency polygon dia punya first end dengan dia punya the end point dia ni, okay, the two end points dia ni dekat nilai 0. Okay, so kalau awak tengok bila frequency polygon kita kalau awak guna, okay, bila awak nak construct dia guna Excel, you have to add one class dekat atas sekali dengan satu lagi kelas pada pengakhirannya. Okay, contohnya kat sini biar saya share. Okay, contohnya kat sini alright. Contohnya kat sini, kalau awak nampak midpoint ni saya ada tambahkan satu di atas dengan satu di bahagian hujungnya dengan frekuensinya 0. Okay, untuk dapatkan kita punya frekuensi polygon ni berbentuk seperti ini. So sebenarnya frekuensi polygon ni ada juga dekat dalam Microsoft Excel. Awak just ambil ni dua point awak, dua variable awak x dengan y, okay, and then masuk, okay, go to insert, then we have recommended chart. So awak boleh ambil yang this one, okay, this one frequency ni. Okay, yang penting ialah you know the step. You have to add one class at the first one and at the end one. Okay, so ingatlah ini adalah step untuk awak punya frequency polygon. Sama ada awak buat secara manually ataupun menggunakan Microsoft Excel atau mana-mana software sekalipun. So you have to remember this 4 step. Okay. The next one is ogive. The ogive is a graph that represents the cumulative frequency for the class in a frequency distribution. Okay, so we just use the same example. The step 1 is find the cumulative frequency for each class. Okay, kalau awak perasan, untuk frekuensi, untuk ogive ni saya tambah juga satu kelas daripada yang bahagian paling atas, starting dengan frekuensi 0. Why? Okay, sekejap lagi kita tengok kenapa kita kena tambah satu kelas before. Okay, so cumulative frequency ni masa hari tu kita dah tengok lah cara penambahannya, just add the frequency. So kita akan dapat lah dia punya cumulative frequency. Okay, next, lepas dapatkan cumulative frequency tu, you have to draw the x and y axis, label the x-axis with the class boundary. Okay, step 3, you have to plot the cumulative frequency at each upper class boundary. Upper boundaries are used since the cumulative frequency represent the number of data values accumulated up to the upper boundary of each class. So starting with the first upper boundary, 104.5, connect adjacent point in the line segment. Then extend graph to the first lower class boundary, 99.5 on the x-axis. Okay, so sebenarnya walaupun yang atas ni, okay, table ni saya buat sendiri. Okay, cara saya ialah tambah satu plus di atas. Tapi kalau awak baca step yang pada nota ni, boleh juga kita tak tambah, tapi kita just connect the end point pada point 0. Okay, so kita akan dapatlah kita punya graph ogive kita seperti ini. Okay, so saya recap balik. Okay, kalau awak lihat balik apa yang kita cover pada 2.1 and 2.2 ni. Okay, 2.1 hari tu kita tengok frequency distribution. Okay, from the raw data, then you convert it into table form. So from the table form, you find how to identify cumulative frequency, and then how to identify mean, mode, and median. So in this part, you learn the basic, okay, the basic graph to represent your data visually. So we have histogram, frequency, polygon, and ogive. So basically, histogram and frequency, we represent the frequency, but histogram use the boundaries, but frequency polygon use midpoint on the x-axis. But ogive represent the cumulative frequency. So for the for ogive, actually we can find median value, quartile value from the graph. So I think we will cover that in the next, okay, in the next part. So that's all for 2.2 part. Okay, so we will continue 2.3, okay, the subtopic 2.3 next week. Okay, to enhance your understanding, you have to complete the tutorial question. Okay, so thank you and Assalamualaikum.